Hello friend, welcome to the channel Pharmacy Dictionary. Today we are going to study about one of the most important question for short type of question in your sessional examination. This topic is pharmacokinetic, and under pharmacokinetic we have to study about the blood-brain barrier along with the blood-placental barrier. So what is the meaning of barrier? I will explain each and every term in this topic, but let me ask some question from you. Have you ever seen the mineral checkpoint, or we can say mineral checkpoint barrier on the road ever? If yes, then you must be knowing about the process of barrier, procedure of barrier, protocol of barrier along with their purpose. But if you not, let me explain you what is the meaning of mineral checkpoint barrier. So whenever any goods carrier like truck or any other heavy motor vehicles are passing through any road via any barrier which is used to check the proper amount of minerals it is available or not. If the legal material is in the truck, then it is okay, they will check and they will allow them to pass through the barrier. But if the truck holder is having illegal material or unauthorized material in that their goods carrier, they will check, they will stop, and they will do accordingly at full law. So what is the meaning of barrier here? A barrier is any checkpoint which is used to check either everything is okay, is that having property or criteria to go through it, otherwise we have to stop that thing. So barrier is a hurdle between two checkpoints from this side to this side where the barrier lies. Like this is a barrier and this is the road. So suppose some truck is going through this barrier. This barrier will pull down and will check if everything is okay. They will allow to go. So this is checkpoint between this point and this point. This is called barrier. So same like blood-brain barrier, as you can see, this is a barrier between the blood and the brain. Now what is the meaning of this blood and brain? See, whenever we are taking any kind of medicine via any route of drug administration, ultimately that drug has to go through blood, and with the help of blood the drug has to move throughout the body. But now the drug is in the blood and drug can move through one part to the other part, as we have seen in case of distribution. So if the drug is able to move through the barrier, then they may cross the blood-brain barrier. But if the drug is having no such property like non-lipid soluble drug, they will not be able to cross the brain, because there are only few drugs which are able to cross the brain, and if the drug is water soluble, that is not capable enough to cross the brain here. So it is very important. So a barrier which is checking either the drug is lipid soluble or not, so that they may allow them to move through the brain and other part of central nervous system. So this is called blood-brain barrier. This is the important checkpoint. So let me clear you the basic point on the whiteboard. First is blood-brain barrier. Abbreviated form is BBB. So it is a barrier between blood and brain. So some drug is in the brain, so that drug should go through brain or should not go through the brain as per the property of drug is dependent upon the blood-brain barrier. Second point say the endothelial cell of the brain capillary lack of intracellular pore and have tight junction. We have seen the different movement of drug across the cell membrane, and at that lecture we have clearly explained you that only water soluble drug need a aqueous pore channel to cross across the cell membrane. Lipid soluble drug need not need any kind of aqueous pore. They dissolve themselves on the membrane of cell and they easily cross through the membrane. So in this case of blood-brain barrier, the endothelial cell of the brain does not have any kind of aqueous capillary pore, so that only lipid soluble drug can cross through. No water soluble drug can be able to cross because there is no such aqueous pore on there. This is important parameter. Glial cell envelop the capillary and together they are called blood-brain barrier. Now this is the important one. What is the meaning of glial cell envelope? See, in nervous system, either it is central nervous system or peripheral nervous system, there are non-nervous tissues. This is called glial cell. Their purpose is not to produce any electrical signal, but they basically provide envelope like protection in the capillary of the blood, capillary of the brain, so that only authorized drug, that means only highly lipid soluble drug, can cross through the brain-blood barrier. And this is very important. So glial cell plus capillary of the brain together they form the blood-brain barrier, or short may this is known as a BBB. Now I am going to explain you the meaning and diagram of blood-brain barrier with comparison with the normal one. So let's go through that short video, then we will come back soon. So now we are going to study about the blood-brain barrier with the help of respective diagram. There are two types of diagram in your screen. The first one, that is left side of your screen, is usual capillary, that means normal capillary apart from blood-brain barrier, and the other side, that is right side of your screen, is a specific brain capillary, that means this is the actual blood-brain barrier system which we have to study about. So what are the basic difference here? So before going to the difference, let me compare this diagram with similarities first.
So here this is basement membrane in your first image, that is usual capillary also. So this one is basement membrane. Which one? This one. This inner lining is a basement membrane. Whereas in the same in case of the blood-brain barrier, this is also a basement membrane. But now what is the difference between these two? See the diagram on the left side of your screen showing some gaps. But in case of this diagram, there is no gap. That means completely a tight junction. So this gap is called intercellular pores. That means a pore or gap between two cells. So this is called intercellular gap. And the second one, here as you can see, almost all cells are lying in a very tight junction. So this is known as a tight junction. There is no such cellular pore available here on the blood-brain barrier, blood-brain capillary we can say. So here in this diagram, there are lipid soluble drug. So lipid soluble drug can easily cross through the cell. As you can see, this is lipid soluble drug. This is also known as a non-polar drug. So they can easily cross inside the cell as well as outside the cell with the help of cell. That means they will get absorbed in the cell membrane and they move across the cell. So in case of lipid soluble drug, this is going inside. This is inside view, and the drug is going from inside to outside. Same it is applicable with the blood-brain barrier or blood capillary. Lipid soluble drug can move easily across the cell membrane. But in case of lipid insoluble, that is called polar drug, and we can say the water soluble drug. So water soluble drug can only cross across the membrane with the help of inner cellular pore. That is called aqueous channel or aqueous pore, as you can see in the usual capillary diagram. But in case of blood-brain barrier, there are no such intracellular pores or no aqueous pore available here. So the movement of lipid insoluble drug or water soluble drug is completely not possible. So this is important difference. And another difference is glial cell. As you can see in usual diagram or usual capillary diagram, there is no glial cell covering over the cell membrane. But in case of the blood-brain capillary, as you can see, this is a tight junction. Also there is a covering or outer envelope like covering of glial cell, which is important for the movement of lipid insoluble drug. That can restrict the movement of lipid insoluble drug. So this is very specific. In this image, I just wanted to make you the difference between usually capillary membrane and brain capillary membrane or blood-brain barrier. So let's move back to the whiteboard section.
I hope the short video will help you to understand what is the meaning of glial cell and what are the blood-brain barrier. So coming to the next point, that says drug have to pass through the cell to cross the barrier. As I have explained you, there is no such aqueous pore, and only those drugs which are highly lipid soluble drug can cross the blood-brain barrier. So these drugs have to pass through the cell, only cell, not any aqueous pore, so that they will reach to the brain only. Now there is an important note. So see, only lipid soluble and unionized drug are having property or able to cross this cell membrane or blood-brain barrier, because lipid solubility is a primary criteria for the drug to move through this barrier, and unionized drug, because we know it very well, ionized drug act as a macromolecule and they cannot cross through the membrane. Only unionized form of the drug will be able to produce the movement across the cell membrane. Now see what is the next point. During the inflammation, this is important question that may be asked in different competition exam of any kind of pharmacy related examination. So during the inflammation of the meningeal part, membrane become more permeable to most of the drug. See, in case of general people or general patient having no such problem of meningitis or any other inflammation, so this blood-brain barrier is highly selective for lipid soluble drug only. But in case of meningitis or meningeal inflammation, that is a part of brain that is inflamed, in this case of meningitis, the barrier of blood-brain barrier become permeable for some drug, and in this case most of the drug like penicillin can easily cross through blood-brain barrier. But in case of general, if a person is not having any kind of meningitis, that penicillin will not be able to cross. That is able to cross just because of the inflammation, because in case of inflammation there is a permeability increase of blood-brain barrier. So the pH of cerebrospinal fluid is around 7.35. Basic drug content, weakly basic content drug are more soluble as compared to the acidic drug here. So basic drug will be able to cross blood-brain barrier as compared to the acidic one. There is not a 100% criteria, but this is preferential criteria. Now next point, say the placental barrier. We have have completed basic point regarding the blood-brain barrier. Now it's time to understand the blood-placental barrier. What is the meaning of blood-placental barrier? Here we can see that blood-brain barrier is a barrier between blood and brain. Same as in case of blood-placental barrier, there is a barrier between the blood of the mother of pregnancy in case of pregnancy and the fetus or via the placenta. This is called blood-placental barrier. It means only those drugs can be crossed to the blood-placental barrier which is having property of lipid soluble in most of the case, but in few cases water soluble drug can also be crossed through that. So it is a barrier to protect the development or protect the harmful effect of the drug to the children, so that to the fetus only we can say, so that the proper development of child may take place inside the womb. So placental barrier are lipid soluble unionized drug can cross. Unlike the previous one, blood-brain barrier, most of the case lipid soluble drug or unionized drug will be able to cross the blood placental barrier, whereas the lipid insoluble drug are much lesser extent able to cross the barrier. I am not saying that the non-lipid soluble drug will not be able to cross, but the percentage of non-lipid soluble drug is very less as compared to the lipid soluble or highly lipid soluble drug. Coming to the next point, drug taken by mother may cross to the fetus through blood placental barrier if the drug is having property either lipid soluble drug or highly lipid soluble drug, and in some case water soluble drug. If they cross and if they are not good for the fetus development, they may cause unwanted effect to the fetus, and the process of movement of the drug from the mother to the fetus via the placenta and conversion of that unwanted effect is called teratogenicity. That means it is the ability of the drug to cause unwanted effect and hindered the growth of fetus inside the womb. That may be a problem, and those agents which can cause the abnormality in the development of fetus inside the womb are considered as a teratogen. This is very important, and we have uploaded all this video in our main channel, that is Solution Pharmacy, so you can visit that particular channel too. The link of that particular channel is given in the description box. So coming to the last point, that is molecular weight of 250 to 500 can cross this blood placental barrier, but those drugs which is having molecular weight more than 1000 will not be able to cross the blood placental barrier. So those drugs will be safer for the during pregnancy. This is an important characteristic feature for the drug while selecting the for selecting the drug in case of pregnancy. So friend, this is a small topic for today's lecture. Thank you very much for watching this video, and the reference for today's classes is Padmaja Uday Kumar and KD Tripathi 8th edition. So if you want to take the screenshot of today's presentation, you may have after some time. Thank you again. Please do take care of yourself. Thank you.